we'll start the meeting. This is the May 9th, 2024 meeting of the Monmouth Planning Board. Everybody's welcome. We have a quorum. We're good to go.
Darcy on board. currently.
Darcy is on the Zoom. I think he's able to hear. For anyone who hasn't signed in, there's a sign-up sheet on the table here, if you wouldn't mind signing, so we know if somebody speaks, we'll have hopefully an idea who it is. And okay. We have first the minutes of the last meeting. I would accept the motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Okay. Any comments on the minutes? If not, all in favor of accepting the minutes? Okay. You may have seen during the week or last couple of weeks, Colin Clark from DEP had sent an email about the Solar America Energy Project. There was some concern about wetlands impacting where they have their development. So I had email communication with make sure I get her name correct. Lauren Bedun from Solar America. And she told me they'd reached out to DEP for clarification. They haven't heard anything back, so we agreed that they'd be tabled for tonight. So under old business, I'd like to do the Monmouth Academy matter first, if we could, because I don't think that's gonna take the time that we might spend discussing Lake Star, if that's acceptable to anybody. So notices were sent out to the abutters. And are these plans, Dave, that are in that box there? Yes. So do you want to update us? Any changes since we met last?
No changes. I looked through our code analysis again to verify some things. I had a brief conversation with Mark Vayu of the Fire Marshal's office, although a month was not enough time to turn around the Fire Marshal's permit. We had a brief discussion. I think I only have 6 copies. I've got exactly enough.
Yeah, because was there some concern about access because of the number of people?
Well, one of the concerns is depending on the number of people, it requires.
So our assumption, based on the review of the code, you can see that on sheet A001, second sheet. Full code review of the buildings. We have 245 occupants in the complete phase. Now, mind you, we're doing this in multiple phases as funding becomes available. And our complete phase has 3 exits, which will be acceptable for the amount of occupancy, as well as an NFPA review that dictates under 300 occupants for a masonry building is not requiring sprinklers for a 1-story occupancy. So that's all out here in detail. Mark Vayu of the State Fire Marshal's office without officially confirming, because he will have to review it officially as the permit process goes through, believes that I'm on the right track, or that we are on the right track for not needing a sprinkler system. I'm not gonna put him in as an official, advocate for the building until the permit process has been officially done, but he believes that he's backing me up at this point. And happy to answer any questions on this page or any other pages, but I think most of those things that were brought up last time could be answered on the code review page.
So if we refer to this as phase one, exactly what work do you expect would be done at this point?
Yeah, so phase one would be interior partition walls on the exterior for insulation, meeting the energy code 2021 of Maine. There will be a rough in for electrical. There will be new doors. The new windows are already in. All the demo has been completed. As far as some additional, there's some lead abatement on the exterior of one of the walls. And putting the bell tower back up on the top. So phase one will not have occupancy.
Where's the lab?
The lead is right on the face that's here. That little brown blotch that's on this side is approximately 60 square feet of lead paint.
Any asbestos in the old part?
I don't believe so, no.
Questions, comments from board members?
I feel safe to assume that we are now dealing with 115 Academy Road.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, I did hear from Andy that the code enforcement officer, that he had assigned a number. So it is 115 Academy Road. And got to tell Marcy and I didn't really communicate about that change, and marking my copy so that the future records will reflect that, and any decision reflect that this is 115 Academy. 115. So we're dealing essentially with just interior issues. This- Funny voting tonight. No, everyone's here. Yeah.
Everybody's here, nobody.
Nobody voting, nobody for the alternate. Okay. You can certainly comment.
The only change that I see is you finally labeled the two interior doors from the main hall into that hallway. Which wasn't on the original plan, so they are gonna change from the 30-inch doorways now to 3'6".
So we're going from 30-inch to,
Right now, they were framed out at 30-inch doors, and the new plan shows them door number 219 and 218, 3'6", which meets the current code.
Question on page A200. Shows a red dotted line with the window opening. Is that something in the future or is that?
That was a removal of the dormer on that side.
That was a removal?
Yeah. That's part of the demo phase. There was one on the left side of the building and not one on the right. We wanted it to be symmetric. We believe that that was an addition somewhere along the line, but not original. Okay.
How many exits?
There will be two for the phase one. You'll see on a. I did provide the phase two complete plans just for reference to see what it would look like on completion. A104, you will see there is an alternate exit over here with an accessible ramp and stairs down to the patio slab that's below.
So it's here.
The only thing that you're thinking of that you're missing is the fire marshal's actual certificate at
We
this
had-
point?
Correct. We have not officially applied for the state fire marshal certificate. I spoke to him after the last meeting when this had come up.
Mhm.
A month turnaround would be pretty quick for them, so we decided to not submit right away until we came back to you guys. But I did speak with Mark and we had a small dialogue about the exiting and the requirements of the building.
Would that be an occupancy issue at completion of these?
Well, it should be before approval, but we can waive, it's a waivable,
Make it a condition.
and make it a condition that it comes to the board before completion.
Yeah.
Only one bathroom.
There's a unisex bathroom with 3 stalls.
but
The
only
stalls,
One door.
correct, and the stalls are not, half height stalls like a sex bathroom, but a full height partition wall with a door on it. Each
So
of those stalls.
that's handicapped.
Correct.
And then these are regular stalls, only one door.
One
One
door,
bathroom. How many people?
one unisex bathroom with 3 individual private stalls. For an occupancy of up to 245.
That's all that's required. That's the minimum form.
And they're next to each other?
With full
Yes.
partitions, and we chose to do that because of cost. If you did men's and women's bathrooms
Separately.
it would take up so much space and also extremely elevate for cost. Plumbing is huge. And we decided we were all comfortable with that because I used one in college and they're very common these days, so.
I think that's all you get in the state of Texas now.
I don't want to be compared with Texas, thank you. Okay.
And we have sewer and water servicing the site.
Yes.
That's
Not really talking about parking or any exterior
At this point,
at this point. So this is sort of a phase 1 approval.
mhm.
There's gonna be groundwork. So we need to have some controls of for any runoff, usual.
I will comment phase 2.
Yeah. I mean, would this renovation need silt fences and so forth during the earth moving or
So, but
it's a pretty level site here? Just,
the water would run on its own property. Where the rest of the building was. In the back.
It goes down and back.
Yeah, but that's on this property. I don't think can it leave the property? Water?
We have our engineer here.
And the water leave the property?
So it doesn't matter. So typical disturbance of any earthwork disturbance, downgrading, you have to have silt fence.
Yeah.
Or some sort of erosion control.
Erosion control mix or something, yeah.
You got it. They don't have a choice on that.
yeah,
Whether it leaves the property or not, it doesn't matter. What you're trying to do is limit sediment from leaving the site.
so there's gonna have to be some erosion.
And the thing is, you got this property here, but the fairground's still town property.
Yeah. But still,
It's still.
It doesn't matter who it is.
yeah,
Right. We're just gonna do some kind of control.
And we have our rear rebutters right here.
we're doing it private. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
You wanna,
you're looking for a motion,
Well, let's see if there's any public questions before we. Any members of the public, questions, comments on this proposal? There being none, you could entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept phase one with the condition of approval from the fire marshal
In normal
and no more
soil erosion
soil erosions.
controls during construction.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? So it's unanimous, okay. We'll write up a decision and still need to get a building permit from Andy to start the work. But he'll do that as soon as we can get a written.
So Andy is the code officer?
He's the code officer. It may take, I gotta go out of state next week. I don't know that I can get a decision to him till next weekend. What's your hope to get people in there? They ready to go immediately or?
That's a great question. We just discussed this Monday night in the building committee meeting, so. A couple weeks, I think, it would be,
That's fine, you're not,
yeah.
you don't have the people right there ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get right on it, but just, we gotta write it up and make sure. it's the proper form. Okay, great. Thanks for your cooperation and help and.
Of course. And this set is slightly more current than that.
Okay,
one that I sent
please.
over,
So
so.
that one doesn't have the door schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Take that one.
I'll wrap it up nice and tight for you.
Oh, great.
There you go.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
Get backup tonight.
Just a wee bit.
Right. So we'll move back to Lake Star. That's Jeff Allen here representing the developer. Jeff had sent an email, I don't know if everyone, I should have got forwarded or there may be copies, but Jeff wanted you kind of asked to come in and talk about some changes to the plan.
Well, we get a couple of things I want to ask about tonight. I like this idea of standing up here because you can see what I'm talking about. Couple different things we need to deal with is, the first one is we had a building permit that we applied for last, what, a year ago, I think, Holly? This is Holly Flavius, the owner. And it was on this lot 10 down here. And I think we had done a site visit out there and took a look at it, and we all agreed it was okay to do it. And then what it is.
I gotta stop you, Jeff.
Yeah.
It wasn't lot 10 that we
Looked at.
looked at.
You looked at
We
lot.
didn't even walk to lot 10. So it was,
But
I think it was the lot up here.
Yeah.
Lot 4.
Lot 4.
Lot 10 that we took you to.
No, we didn't go to lot
You
10.
didn't go down to the water.
Mm-mm.
No, well, this
It doesn't
is far
show
from the water.
though. When you're on site, it's very wooded.
Yeah,
But the problem is it's in shoreland.
part of it is, part of it
Forest
is not.
protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our concern was till we review the whole project and hear what DEP's concerns are, that, you know, there's just too many issues that, but if, so I came away from the site visit that it was that upper lot that had no kind of shoreland issues that we were approving. And I think that was the communication we had with code enforcement. So when apparently the builder came in, he came in thinking it was lot 10. And so there were emails back and forth or conversations I had with code enforcement. And he said, yes, if they come in for a permit for, is it lot 6?
Lot 4 was.
Lot
here,
4.
I think, and lot 10. is
Yeah.
here.
So it was lot 4 that we're fine with. Ordinarily, we don't approve any construction on a lot before either a phased approval is granted.
Mhm.
Now, when we had the preliminary, pre-application meeting, there was discussion that, yeah, before you file, you're allowed to have 3 lots. And so,
Yeah, you can sell. As I understand it, you correct me, but as I understand, you can sell 1 lot and then selling 1 lot does not create a
Right.
subdivision. And so they're planning on selling the lot where the farmhouse
Right.
is. So there's the remaining lot and that's what.
but, right, but then then whatever other lot would create a 3rd lot. And so because we had that discussion at the pre-application meeting, that there could be an additional lot. That's why we sort of said, all right, in this instance, we will say, yes, you can build on another lot. And I don't know if anyone else had a different understanding, but it was the lot further up that,
So may I just interject? From my understanding during the day that we met, and it's okay, like we can shift to the one that you feel more comfortable with now reviewing this, but we had staked out the house and the septic, and that was the land that we walked you to with that house with the stakes in place that we showed to you. So that was lot 10. It doesn't feel like it because it's so set back from the road where we picked out the house. Just to clarify that, like,
Yeah.
that's what we were showing that day, because that's the only thing we had staked out at that point. We came to an idea that perhaps we don't want to build on that one, we want to build on 4, get our building structure and our, sort of our template and, get our feet wet essentially and the new construction design and not make any mishaps on, which coulda, shoulda, change the room like this in the future. So we weren't gonna do one of our premium locations first. That's then, so the idea of doing it on lot 4 became a conversation that sort of developed. And then somehow someone said that we thought we could build like both as long as one of them wasn't sold. So then it was, the conversation sort of got convoluted for a moment there, and that's why there was a ping ponging between the terms 10 and 4. So from my understanding, the day that we all walked out the property, I showed you around, we had lot 10 showcased. Lot 4, we thought maybe we actually did want to build lot 4, and then we had another conversation. They were like, no, we said we're gonna only let you do lot 10 and, the rest of it stay put. And I didn't want to ruffle feathers. So I'm like, all right, let's just stick with lot 10 then, if that's the one you guys feel comfortable with having seen. So if there's a little miscommunication or we need to do another site walk for you to decide which one you feel more comfortable with us doing, I'm happy to do that. I don't know where we're at though.
well, I think, it's,
And see, I don't recall. I remember lot 4, but I know when we did, we knew where the flag was, where the road was, but I don't recall the house.
We walked in further down the road, almost before the corner and walked in the woods, you remember?
we had to go
Yeah.
up, we had to go up a bank and
Yeah.
walk in there.
And I knew the poles were the road.
But I thought that was just to sort of see the lay of the land.
Yeah.
I don't,
So maybe I'm misunderstanding, but that was, I thought what we were getting approval for that. But either way, I'm happy to make it for 4 if that's what.
yeah, that's what the code enforcement officer was.
Okay.
What's the negative impact of lot 10? It's outside the shoreline.
Part of it is.
It's only 10 feet of it is not.
But
And it won't be in the cleared area
But
of lot 10.
I think the concern is if there is other issues down in that area. And they start a construction on that lot, is that gonna hamper kind of the
The rest of
overall
it, yeah.
development? It's, it's,
You're talking phosphorus control and all that other stuff?
yeah, and
If another plunge pool is needed or something?
yeah, and then we've allowed something in a lot that technically, I don't know, that's why I thought it was simpler not to get into any of the lots that were kind of in a shoreland, that we had shoreland issues in.
Yeah, we've got about 100 by 100 square that we could build in that is not in shoreline zoning. Is this is kind of a funky area. There's forested wetland out front. And so the 250-foot setback starts at the back end of the forested wetland.
Yeah,
So the closest we can go to stay out of shoreland is pretty close to 350
Pretty close
feet.
to the building.
Yeah, the building that we've got shown on here
Mhm.
is right at that 250 feet from the edge of the forested wetland.
Okay.
So this is in an all upland area. And it's as far away from the water as you can get on the lot. So that's why, and I think we had staked out the septic and the house, the corner house lots.
is the primary access for lot 10 going to be off Birchwood?
No, it'll be off the new road. So the driveway will go in and then cut across. So the driveway, we're only having one entrance off of Birch.
Here.
Yeah, so it'll go in here and then cut down to the house.
But you're gonna have to put the road in from Birchwood down.
Down this first 120 feet.
Okay, so you're gonna come in from that side.
Yes.
So regardless, the potential owner for that is gonna have to traverse Birchwood and then turn onto whatever this new road.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they'll come down Birchwood and go in this road. The new, we're still working on a name for that. We haven't got this road named yet. And then their driveway will be off this new internal road. We don't want to create any more driveways than we have to off Birchwood.
I wanna like interject real quickly. I don't wanna waste too much time trying to plead the case on lot 10, because I'm 100% happy to do lot 4, so we can sort of not
Okay.
worry about.
Just quite a few more houses off Birchwood.
Oh, yeah. That's where the development starts.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
can just.
So
why don't we get that
Why don't we just work on lot 4
staked
then?
out for approval?
Yeah, let's just work on lot 4.
Is this available in a little larger scale?
I can leave you these, I promised these to Holly, but I can.
No, some of us here in the senior group
I'm with you.
can't see what the heck is on here.
Yeah, I've got, in my office, instead of printing off full-size ones, I got this little magnifier thing that I got on Amazon that I can roll around. And,
We'll
you
bring it
know,
next.
yeah, we'll bring some for
I
everybody.
feel you.
But yeah, it is very difficult to see everything that's going on. So, okay, if you're happy with
I
4,
think 4, yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly, that's the one that I presented second. I thought they had said no to 4, and that then was the one that they wanted us to stick with. So I guess a misunderstanding.
okay, well,
Do they need a special lien or release or something to come in off of Birchwood?
They need to get approval from Birch,
Road
the
Association.
road association. But I talked to the president of the road association. He said, whatever you guys want. It wasn't a stumbling block for him. He was just ready to, he didn't know whether he wanted to approve one or all of them at once. I said, well, why don't you consider all of them at once, so you don't have to keep coming back to you. So he was going to a meeting and get that approved.
So all of those lots would actually become part of Birchwood Road Association?
They actually will maintain that upper section, so that they're looking for that.
Okay.
yeah, I think, Lake Star is gonna partner with the road association to, split the maintenance costs.
Well, we don't want to get into a situation where there's a guy somebody with a house and that, and they
And no access.
won't allow them to get down there, so it's landlocked, you can't.
Yeah, we're creating like a legal agreement as well.
Yeah.
So everything with the bylaws is well in motion and almost complete. We're just waiting till hopefully that June sixth meeting and then they become official. So we're just speaking now.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we have been working, speaking of that, on the homeowners association. Ironing out the details of that, that's one thing, before we can get approval, we know we need to have that. And so that's something that's actively being worked on. I've been involved with 2 or 3 meetings with the attorney and Holly and the builder and, trying to sort
Roy.
it out. So that's underway. But one of the issues we found, we had to go through for DEP and for you guys also, and find that we have an area on each lot that we can put a septic system. So my septic guy that I worked with for 20 years came down, found spots on almost all the lots. Some of the lots down on this side of the road over here, I could only find a couple spots, so there isn't enough, we had to do away with 2 of the lots down here, because there's no place you could put a septic system on. So we had to eliminate a couple lots.
Which, it's now 23, 24, is that?
No,
what you-
we eliminated,
21?
I think it was 18 and 19 on the old plan. This is the new plan.
It's all Okay.
renumbered. Yeah, we've renumbered it, but
Oh,
it's this kind of pie-shaped piece down here. Used to be 3 lots, now it's 1.
So is the total number of lots then reduced by 2?
No, because I looked at your ordinance. And I think originally we talked about doing 27 lots. And I looked at your ordinance and I think that email I sent you, 4.6.1.1, it allows flag lots. And so we've reconfigured the road. Since this land is not buildable, we pushed the road over here a little ways. And so we can create 2 lots here.
So the only question is whether that's allowed in a subdivision.
On a subdivision road, because the way your ordinance is written is, flag lots have to come off town-owned roads. So would you allow it? And this is the big question for me this evening is, would you allow it off of a subdivision?
Town roads are mostly improved. This road's going to be improved, or are they going to be?
Not require. I think it's gonna be a gravel road initially. They may pave it later, the homeowners association may decide to do that.
Town standards, why wouldn't we?
Well, let's just look at, and then you gotta look at the state subdivision law as well. They have it. An older copy of it. Well, they haven't printed it in 10 years, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So assuming it's legal,
Yeah, it says public road, that's sort of
that's
your
the kicker.
problem, and so that means, public road means one that's a town road, it's a definition of what a public road is. It's public road, it doesn't say. We haven't had this issue come up.
Would the road be built to town specs?
Yeah.
except it won't be paved, it'll be.
Right?
Dirt
road.
Just for conversation, how long is that flag driveway?
Right here?
No, this one, that's the flag driveway for that.
No, this is a normal driveway for that house. The flag, and what we did, so we, again, we're trying to minimize wetland impact. We did a shared driveway, so each flag lot has to have a 30-foot frontage on the road. So the green one here is, I'll speak about that later. So this first flag lot is the blue one. And the blue one has a 30-foot wide road down here that's about 500 feet long. But we're not gonna use it. That's just to provide the frontage here. Because if we did that one, if we built that road, two things. That's where we want to have the walking path and the snowmobile trail. We don't want snowmobiles going down the road. So we're doing a shared driveway over here. It's all in upland area. That's not, so we wouldn't have any wetland disturbance with the driveway here. The shared driveway would go down the flag, the post associated with lot 60, which is this one here. So there would be an easement on this driveway for the benefit of lot 14 for for their access.
States definitely.
And then lot 16 would come down here and serve these.
We just. I tried to look at this the other day.
In the front.
Yeah, let me just, crazy. So how long was this person's driveway?
Long. Well,
Goes down here?
it goes up here. So that's almost 1,000 feet.
Main state definition of a property.
Did you find it?
But that's serving two houses.
We've done that before.
The flag lots.
We did that on.
Yeah, I think you,
But not on a subdivision.
On Smart is a single driveway to, a single cutoff to two driveways.
so they come down here. I'm guessing about 600 feet. And then it would split left and go down to this house. Split right into another 250 feet, 300 feet down to this home. And again, these homes aren't, that's just a conceptual layout. We don't know that they'll be there. Brings up another issue though. These are, the first 4 homes here are in the shoreline zone. So we're gonna have to come back to you for each lot. As somebody may buy both of these lots. In which case we don't wanna.
Get those approved and then come back for amendments.
Right, there'll be an amendment or.
Get those approved first and then
Yeah.
come back to
The
the
state definition of a private road.
So we understand that that's an extra step for these 4 lots here. To come back for you.
Because we did a source. North Hill. North Hill and on 202. 202 are single driveways with splits.
Two splits. But that's
And
that's off of
Main road.
a main road. Yeah, that's the question. It's. You get into this legal thing about public and private roads. No, I'm just not 100% sure.
This stuck between a rock and a hard place because town of Monmouth isn't gonna accept any more roads.
Well, they haven't in,
Right, so.
I don't know when the last road was accepted, more than 40 years ago.
Yeah.
probably.
What if we called it a public road, but the homeowners association assumed because they're planning on doing that anyway.
I think the only way to become that a public road would be to build it to down specs and pave it.
Maintained by.
But Birchwood,
have the town accept it.
yeah, but Birchwood isn't a paved.
It's
It's not a public road.
Not a public road.
See, that's the thing. I don't think it's considered a public
It's
road.
not plowed.
So if we paved it, that would,
If it's
Well-
plowed, it's public. If it doesn't.
Well-
Well, Steve, here's,
What does it say?
go ahead, Ray.
Want to read that or why don't you read it, Ray?
Here's the glasses.
Oh, all right. In Maine, a public way is a road capable of carrying motor vehicles, including any state highway, municipal road, county road, unincorporated territory road, other road dedicated to the public, and then it has some kind of reference to dedicated to the public. It is also defined as a way owned and maintained by the state, a county, or a municipality, or a quasi-municipal corporation or district over which the public, the general public, has a right to pass, then it
I didn't hear anything about pavement in there.
well, I think a road that is presented to the town for acceptance has to be, well, I think we require subdivision roads to meet the road standards to be accepted, except they don't require paving.
Yes.
But to be accepted by the town, they have to be paved. But then the real question is, could you create a road that's considered a public road? Not sure.
Who controls that right away?
Well, it's just that the access to the general public, and so generally subdivision road is for the people who live there, their guests, invitees,
vehicles.
service vehicles.
Doesn't
So,
say anything about pavement in our ordinance.
well, for which one? To be accepted? To be accepted,
Not to be accepted. New town ways, this shall apply to the construction of all streets and roads which the town is asked to accept as town ways after the enactment of this ordinance.
you don't think they have to be,
There it is, street materials are gravel base. Oh, wait. For pavement, total thickness of 3.5 inches.
yeah.
It is in there.
I mean,
What would the procedure be if we were to have it be accepted, not required to be accepted to a public road, to have the flag lots not go to a public road?
Then we can accept
Yeah.
an application for a flag lot. Right?
I think so.
Right.
No. You need that 30 feet on a public road.
Has to be 30 feet on a public road.
Right. What if you took the word public out? How much would that?
It's there.
That would make a lot of sense to me.
Why is it designated only to public
Yeah.
paved roads for flag lots and?
No, that's the way it's written. It says public,
Behind it.
it says, you would have to go way back, but we're going by what it says.
Yeah, they probably minimize flag lots.
Yeah, probably.
Generally,
Why?
like back lots that are otherwise landlocked. Are not attractive. These ones are very desirable lots because they're waterfront. So that's the, yeah, no, actually, they are waterfront.
It says all proposed townways and streets or roads within a proposed subdivision shall be constructed to meet the following standards. Shall be required. Gravel base course of 21 inches, crushed surface, gravel course, 3 inches. Hot bituminous pavement, total thickness, 3.5 for a collector and 2.5 for local. And a base course of 2 inches and 1.5. Oh, man. So the other ones that don't have flag, you can leave gravel. The ones that have flag lots, you have to pave. That's how I'm reading this.
So potentially
Those,
would we just do? Well, this isn't the road, so
Just that.
road,
Yeah.
this road.
that road. The expensive home road.
Yeah. And then this is,
That
this
can
we
be-
could leave that gravel perhaps. And we could leave this one gravel. Okay, so if indeed we did pave that road, what do you think?
It's okay.
Whatever that was.
So even if we did pave it, that wouldn't make it a public road.
No, your hurdle is the definition of public road. That's the problem. That's your first issue.
Okay.
Just trying to see if I can.
Subdivision off of
North
Swan
Hill,
Hill,
we approved.
is that where it's
It
at?
came
That's
off.
settled in place now, or?
Well, that's why I want to kind of get this settled, because if we move the road, we have to resubmit to DEP with some revisions to the numbers. I haven't heard anything from them in 5 months. Nothing.
You'll hear 2 weeks before.
Yeah, and then they'll have a shopping list.
And then you'll be working overtime to get it in within their timeframe. What I was looking for next is the definitions, but I didn't see it in.
I just think they have this title. Public way is a way owned and maintained by a state, county, or a municipality. Right. Over which the general public has a right to pass. I think that's the problem.
You can't have a public way off of a private road.
Road.
Right.
You can't get to the public way
Yeah.
on a private road.
Right.
They can't get there from there.
If Burton is private, then there's no way we could make a public road.
So your other solution is to, reduce the number of lots so you can do what you can do. Either have that land as land for the people who live there,
Common law.
a common lot.
Yeah, I didn't get to that. The green area that's closest to me is a
I
common.
saw you had one
Yeah.
added a common lot.
And the only access to that would be down,
That's what you've got labeled association.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. The access for that would be down the snowmobile trail essentially. But we'd create like a 6-foot wide stone dust trail or something to get down to it. So you could get down with golf carts or bikes or whatever.
Multi-use.
Yeah. Multi-use, but not motor vehicles.
Right.
We thought of putting like some racks for bike or kayaks, maybe down there.
A good use.
That would mean if somebody wants to use Bleakville, they'd have to traverse the wetlands.
Well, it's the path where the snowmobile trail is anyway. That's where the existing snowmobile trail
Through
goes.
the wetland.
Yeah, right through the wetland.
Because assuming that it's a snowmobile trail, the wetland will be frozen and covered with snow. Therefore, not a problem.
Right, but we'll permit that disturbance.
Right, but in an unfrozen world,
Yes.
you really would be able to go traverse
No.
the wetland
No.
to get to the lake.
Well, you can apply and get a path through the wetland.
And we'd probably put that path where the snowmobile trail is. Because and I think, in my experience, DEP has been eager to do that, have one path rather than. Path, correct. So a
There's
little,
only one mush.
one mush rather than 6 mushes.
not see any way around it.
The other issue, I think. I think there's something. So what is the width to depth ratio of those lots? Is it more than 5 to 1?
If we have the flag lots, I checked them all today,
Yeah.
we're all less than 5 to 1.
Because that's one of the subdivision requirements, is they have to be less than 5 to 1.
Yeah. If we don't have the flag lot, we may have to put another road in there to service those lots, which is more environmental disturbance rather than just letting us put flags. That's kind of the, you know, it's antithetical to whatever you really want to do.
Well, you know, you're making the decision to create a certain number of lots. That's one of your issues.
Yeah, and actually without those being flag lots, those do exceed a 5 to 1. Because you have to be 200 feet wide
Right.
here at the front and 150 feet on the frontage here. And that's, well, that might be, if you're 200 and 1,000 feet, you might be able to do that as a lot. And keep it under the 5 to 1 ratio. This one would be okay. And these ones are not, you know, we could have the common land here. So we're fine with everything else. It's just lot 17 and 16 might exceed that 5 to 1 ratio. I'd have to measure, yeah, to check.
But, yeah. But they can't, you know, to be an approved subdivision lot, they can't be more than 5 to 1.
Right.
Can't be 5 to 1.
So what we did with this layout was we moved the road over. The other side of this drawing, I have to show you what the changes were. When we were opting to do the flag lots, the original plan came down here and followed the red lines. And these are the old property lines. We did make actually some changes back here. These two lots were really huge. And so we've extended them all the way back. We thought it better to have lot 7 go all the way down here, lot 8, lot 9. And then it makes all of these other lots bigger. Where we lost the lots over here, which is now, yeah, okay, yeah. It goes, the lots extend through the wetland, but
Yes.
you don't have to build in, you know, we'd still build the houses up closer to the road. This would be an additional area if they wanted to have horses or
Property.
something, or have extra property. If they wanted to put a garden over here, they could do that. You know, or do, some people just like to own land. This would accommodate that.
I almost had a 3D rendering for you tonight, but with short notice, it wasn't quite accurate. I figured I would make it more accurate. But on the schedule in short notice, so I can forward something along to you so you can see, just, you know, bring it all to vision too. I'll email it over to you.
And this is maybe an easier way to see the snowmobile trail. Right now, the trail comes in here and goes up through here and comes out like this. So we wanted to be able to connect the lake with Birchwood Drive. So we're coming up a property line here and over and up the road. And then to allow these folks up here to have a pedestrian access or bike or golf cart access down to the common area here. We extended just a 15-foot wide easement here. In that, we put like a 6-foot stone dust trail. Go from from here. So, you know, somebody wanted to walk down, go to the beach area. they could.
Did you move the snowmobile trail? Is that?
No, well, we kept the entrance here. But
That's the lake.
right,
Yeah.
they go out on the lake there. This is where the entrance was there. And it was kind of across willy-nilly up here. And so we just put it along a property line. And then along the,
So you did move it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You changed it.
Yeah, instead of it meandering its way up
Right.
through the woods.
Yeah.
The woods.
It's a
Yeah.
more direct route.
Yeah.
Where are the flag lots again on that?
All against the water.
You guys can see here. This is the common land, this green land, green area.
For the association.
Yeah, and then the flag lots are here, here, and here. These three lots right here.
Where the dotted line is.
So this would be one lot here and another here up on the road. Here and here. Here. And this has the 30-foot right of way up here. But again, that's just mainly for the access to the common land. But it would be along to,
Well, nothing else on just that definition.
That road comes in from Route 135, right?
I think
Yeah.
we should think of that.
That 6-foot path was road all the way, would that solve the problem with the flag lots?
no,
Within that, you know, when we go through the checklist, no
unless we
lies.
pave the whole front.
So it's probably
You have to pave the whole-
probably not.
Well, it's in our local ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
Copy.
Yeah.
What would that get you?
That would allow it to become a public lot, because, public road, because this one, this
It's
road can't,
acceptable by the town.
if accepted by the town, exactly. Which they haven't done in 40 years.
Yeah, right.
We're breaking all kinds of, you know, thresholds here. Think of all the other folks that are gonna wanna come in and do this.
Dealing with DEP, DEP now has incorporated what the federal government did in redefining some wetlands.
It's, yeah, we're using the current definition of wetlands, and that's why Army Corps recently changed their definition of wetlands and impacted wetlands. So you have to pay a wetland impact fee to Army Corps of Engineer as of late last year. Of $5 a square foot of wetland impact. Or anything over or the triggers and starts at 5,000 square feet of wetland impact. So I think we originally had around 11,000 or 12,000 square feet here, so we know we're gonna be paying that DEP or the Army Corps fee. The Army Corps didn't change any definition of what is a wetland, but just how they're permitting.
Understanding I got is they had eased off on certain definitions.
I wish they'd tell my wetlands guy. Yeah, no, a wetland is a wetland is a wetland. There's there are better wetlands down here. Forested wetlands are classified. Forested wetlands associated with lakes are given like a step up from common wetlands. And that's why your 250-foot shoreline zoning boundary starts at the back end of those. You know, forcing 350-foot setbacks and stuff here. So. What's involved in changing the ordinance? I'm just asking all kinds of weird
Yeah,
questions.
well, again, you have to get a vote of the town. But you first gotta get the select board to agree to put it on a ballot, and then you gotta. But, you know, I mean, generally, they don't like to do it for one project, you know, that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
You know,
Um,
and you're talking a long process. You know, gotta go through reviews and public meetings and get on the ballot and then convince people to support it.
Right, and this is May, and you're talking
Yeah.
about June ballot.
No, it
And
started in November.
Yeah,
Oh, no June ballot?
and
Ballots printed.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, so it never,
Yeah.
it couldn't even go on the June
it's a
ballot.
tough, it would
It's a
be,
tough
it would be a
thing.
tough sell.
Yeah.
I mean, already, you know, I mean, there's no one here tonight, but, you know, because they knew it was not really a review, you know, you're just coming in to propose some changes. But you've got a significant community on probably Anabesic Lake that
worried about it.
is worried about this project, you know, they worried about the scale of it and the impact on the lake, and they're quite a vocal group. You know, so whether you could get that through,
Yeah,
you know, it's who knows? Not saying you couldn't, but it would be quite a process. I mean, the town has rezoned properties, you know, we've had requests for rezoning to allow expansion of one of the overnight camps for.
yeah, this doesn't, rezoning wouldn't help us out.
No, you're talking about changing the ordinance and.
Yeah.
People would have to think about it. You know, and a lot of times, well, I guess it's only the budget items that the select board says.
Right.
Whether they are in favor or not of an item, but.
Yeah, they should. Rightfully so, stay away from these controversial ones, giving approval or denying.
Yeah,
So. To summarize, that what I'm hearing, no flag lot.
yeah, unless you came in from.
So if, yeah,
If he came in from 135. That's a lot of pavement.
it's a lot, yeah, it's a lot of. Well, actually, it's probably only another 600 feet of pavement. From the end of the little stub road
Yeah,
to the main road,
if you have to pave that whole thing, though,
yeah, you'd have to pave the whole.
the whole internal subdivision roads. I mean, you've got the width, you've got the dimensions set, but it's gonna impact your phosphorus control. Big time. You know, you might have to put in more, definitely have to put in more culverts, you're gonna have to put in
And so then you bring that issue.
wet
kind of
ponds.
To the forefront in terms of approval of the board about, well, what's the impact of this project on watershed?
And we've got the phosphorus figured out with DEP, and that was in the DEP application. That would have changed had we been allowed to do the flag lots. Because the road's a little bit different, we'd have to, you know, I knew I was gonna have to redo some phosphorus treatment ponds with this, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you first before I did that, because that's.
Yeah, but you figure it out, what you're gonna have to change if you pave it.
Well, actually, pavement, oddly enough, pavement is cleaner than gravel. Gravel has more phosphorus runoff.
Yes, but you have more runoff with pavement, more, a faster runoff.
Yeah.
High
It's
flow.
actually, DEP treats them the same way. It's still the same hydraulic curve. But
Maybe DP does, I don't know if Copper Sea Watershed does.
Yeah.
No, but the pavement is clean. You know, it doesn't erode over time. And the gravel road.
That's all right. Well, you got the issue of, this is might have been the This just happened to be in this book. I think we're working off a newer copy.
We are, because the print is different.
Yeah. This one doesn't have the phosphorus thing on it.
We got some answers. That's
Yeah,
a step forward.
yeah,
And saved the one we wanted.
yeah.
But they're answers and
What are we doing
that's.
with four? You're going to sell?
Well, I look back, I have a copy of an email that I sent to you, Holly, in February that said lot 4 was fine. And so that's the one I think that Andy was,
Yeah.
Ready to
got
act
confused
on.
with 10. I know.
right, yeah. You're good to go to him for a permit on 4.
Okay, thank you.
But I think given you've got some work down on that end, which is probably the one that is the most, raises the most environmental questions.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Give you more work.
I'm good. We gotta get this done soon because I'm retiring in 2 years. We want to get this done.
You don't have enough time.
Yeah, oh, yes, I do. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Don, are you the moving force on this next item?
Well, I think they, so folks over here are, I mean, I'm the Guy Piper's representative.
Oh, okay, you're representing Guy.
They're the buyers that have the questions that are
Okay,
represented by their real estate agent.
all
I'm here
right,
to be helpful in any way possible.
right. 1 second here, give us a minute to get on board. Everything. Okay. Have a short restroom break if anyone wants it.
Not very long.
Don't fix it.
I'll find out bits, couple of bits. Put that in the room, didn't I? Yeah. That was how they all step up their play, they don't last long.
Is there any concept plan for the big project?
Something.
Not yet, sir. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, we're just waiting for one member to come back.
No,
I just wondered if you had a plan to,
No plan tonight yet.
Okay. just to see what.
Just to, see if I can get a few answers
Yeah,
and, to bring this to Coffin Engineering.
yeah,
So I can give him some ammo so that he can do this for you, so next time we come back.
all right. Just asking.
No, thank you.
You'll be ready in a minute, I think.
Everybody cannot find.
Okay, we can check. So you know, this is what we call a pre-application meeting. And so you'd have time to kind of, and someone in the town office might be able to help figure out who owns that lot. So
Take this one.
so typically what happens, you know, the pre-application meeting gives you a chance to kind of propose what you want to do, and we try to help you to see how does this fit into the ordinances, and so then you can kind of come up with your application and plan. And then that would be submitted to another meeting for acceptance of the application. And then once the application is accepted, we schedule a site visit, and letters have to be sent to the abutters. And then after the site visit, we kind of determine, have you given us everything we need, or are we gonna need some more information? So unfortunately, the bigger projects take a couple of months to get approved, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but I think we're ready, so you can kind of move up and.
Sure, I feel like I'm behind a wall here.
And you're Chris?
Yes, I'm Chris.
Okay,
This is pertaining 1063 Main Street. And what we're proposing is a 55 plus community subdivision. And my engineer had some questions he asked me so he could prepare a plan or whatever more professionally, but I have a list of questions he had.
how many lots are you proposing?
Well, that depends upon the type of road we're building.
Yeah.
Like, I was just listening to whether it's town road, town spec road, paved road. We'd like to do. Talking with the code enforcement officer, he said where it's a city water and sewer, you could get down to half-acre lots. If that's the case, we're almost 33 acres. We'd like to do 40, 50 if possible. And then keeping it, like we said, 55 plus communities, smaller houses, trying to keep everything affordable too. And that's what we're looking at to be able to make the numbers work for everything.
So stick built or modular, or what do you?
Stick built.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what the questions were, was the road, whether it would be paved to town spec. Paved, I understood that when you said.
Well, it only has to be paved if it's going to be, you're gonna try to get the town to accept it. So a lot of subdivisions, you know, the road is built so it's wide enough so fire trucks and ambulances can get in, and you don't have any safety issues, but you don't have to pave it, you know, if you don't want to, you don't. You know, you probably heard some of the discussion. This town hasn't accepted a subdivision road
Years,
in
yeah.
over 40 years. So, you know, it requires a vote. People, I don't want to spend them down to spend the money, I guess. But anyway, that's a.
Right.
So this does have sewer and water to it.
Like, one of the first questions I had was, did the town require a bond for the road? I guess first and foremost, we have all the funding for the whole project,
Yeah,
regardless of what this takes, so.
yeah.
It doesn't have to, we don't have to get in and try to build 8, 10 houses and then,
Right.
you know, procure more money. That's not the issue here. We just want to give our engineer enough information so that he can do a through your comprehensive development ordinance, proper plans, and so that when you guys look at it, it makes sense.
Sometimes people do, you know, a development like this in phases. You know, you say, well, let's start at the beginning of the road and see how it goes and go from there, come back for phase 2, phase 3, or whatever. This would be considered a major subdivision under our ordinance, and you know, sometimes we suggest that maybe a phased approach makes sense, but doesn't.
Really depends on you, whether you plan on building the whole thing at once, or you're gonna start with 10 and let people move into them and then build another 10 and build another 10, or however you're gonna do it.
I'd spoken with Coffin Engineering and he was mentioning that anything under 15, so if we kept the 14 house division at first, he's like, okay, you can do that, but then you have to wait 5 years to do the next ones. We don't have 5 years.
Well, you don't have to, you don't have to wait.
You don't, okay.
No, I think there's some places where subdivisions don't include the bigger lots. So Monmouth does. So it's, if you propose, say, 10 lots, your 11th lot would be the remaining land. So you could come back at any time. You don't have to wait 5 years. In some places, you're allowed to sell after 5 years because that 40-acre lot, say that you kept, isn't considered as part of the subdivision. Monmouth considers all the lots kind of part of the subdivision. So you're just coming back to say, okay, now we're ready to move on to do something with some of the remaining land.
I read pretty much everything in the development ordinance until my eyes were bugged out, and it's too much to take all in with one reading, I'd have to read this 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
We've done a couple other subdivisions, small ones, where we didn't put a road in at first and started trying to sell the front ones because we had to bring in power and all. It didn't really work well for us because we had a sign showing the whole finished project and people were like, well, I want that lot up there. And it's like, oh, man, so we're going into this one. I have a partner. It's just my uncle. He's not here tonight, lives in BZ, but we're thinking the same thing. Is like, if we just do all the infrastructure in this thing so that someone can come in and be like, you know what, I want the far lot because I don't want to hear a car drive by over here, or this lot isn't that big where you're not gonna hear a car drive by anyway, but it's to give someone the choice. We think it'll actually help the sales better and whatnot. And then another thing we did is when we started doing lots in the beginning first, and as we moved on, the people that had the houses first were sick of hearing cement trucks and well drill, and they're like, my God, when are you guys gonna be done? It's like, I wish we'd just done this first. At least no wells on this one because it's water. Everybody loves that sound, but that's kind of what we were looking, just try to do that and get the road in all in a shot. And
Get your infrastructure done.
yes, yeah, just try to make a big noise for a short time and then turn it more normal after.
Does the name of the development tell us something?
No, because we haven't really thought of the name yet. My uncle's like, just call it a 55+ community. I'm like, that's fairly generic, you know? I mean, we've had ones we called Chickadee Ridge. We had one named after his daughter. It's like, I mean, kind of like to put a little more thought and make it a little more enticing for anybody, I guess.
You
So
said
they're
that,
gonna be deed restrictions, 55 and over.
Yes, that's the plan. Yep. And like I said, we want to keep this on the more affordable end. We've had other higher end house subdivisions and stuff, and it's just not feasible for everybody, obviously. I mean, we can keep stuff down.
stick-built, modular,
Right.
are they gonna be all the same design?
That's another thing. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. If we keep them all the same, then we can keep everybody. I mean, you're fine tuning your budget at that point. Every house is the same, you know, the numbers are all good. And so it's easy to figure out where we start and finish. I mean, and keeping aesthetics, you know, keeping everything look
It's
good.
not aesthetic, if it's all the same.
No, I mean,
Three basic designs, flip them over, mirror image, and then go from there.
probably, yeah, yeah. If you give, we've had bad luck giving too many choices. At one point, it was like, holy cow, you just can't end, you know? So, yeah, so less choices, yeah.
It'll be different colors, okay?
Definitely not trying to make it look like a mobile park, that's for sure.
Yeah, so. You know, a lot of, I don't know if in your other projects you had like a homeowners association.
No, they were smaller ones. That was like a question I had tonight. Is it smarter just to plan to have an HOA versus trying to get, obviously the town's not gonna take over a public road, so I mean, HOA kind of makes more sense at this point.
Yeah, and you know, and sometimes you have different things that you want to insure against, you know, so, you know, can somebody, you know, sometimes it's restricted to what, you know, what you can have for animals, say.
It's so funny you say that. My lot, I have no swine out on my lot because a friend of mine that subdivided a whole bunch in Bowden. Sold a few lots and a person put a whole bunch of pigs in and couldn't sell the lots on either side of that house. So he had no swine in all of his deed. I can't have no swine on my lot. You have everything else. Yeah, so yes, we've talked about some of that stuff too. Having restrictions like that and
So there might considerably be restrictions on, like, how many vehicles you can park outside the garage or what type of vehicles, like, you don't have a boat on the front yard, a camper on the side yard.
right, that sounds, I've done some houses in Falmouth Country Club too, and that's very much like that. Can't leave anything outside of your garage and whatnot. I mean,
I've seen ones that say you have to keep your garage door closed.
you know, yeah, you do in the country club. It's,
Yeah, it's,
I mean, kind of not trying to turn Monmouth into Falmouth. That's probably not gonna happen, but
yeah.
I wouldn't want to anyway. I graduated in Monmouth, so I tried buying a piece of land here before I built a boat and couldn't get one. But, yeah, I mean, still just trying to keep, I read this, like I said, I read page after page of that development
Yeah.
ordinance and you know, there's verbiage in there that I don't understand it all. That's why we're gonna hire obviously
Yeah,
an engineer and some of it was to the extent of don't want to change the landscape perception or community perception. And that's true. That's, I mean, I grew up in Wesley Smith's old farmhouse down the corner. So I know what, you know what Monmouth is supposed to be. So absolutely.
yeah, so you're not required. The only ones that, you know, phase developments may be required are ones where you're not sort of on the sewer system. So if you're on the sewer system, you know,
You're encouraged to build.
yeah, I mean,
That's
the goal is,
The goal is to get more.
yeah, the goal is to get development within the kind of the growth area of the community where you have water and sewer. So you probably, you know, you may want to have a call to the Monmouth Sanitary District just to see if there are any issues in that area in terms of hookup. You know, because some areas might need a pump station or something that's gonna add cost to your project. But page 32 of the ordinance sort of starts with the list of submission items. Yeah, and so because you're on water and sewer, you know, you don't need a hydrological assessment. Then the issue is you have to do a traffic impact, you know, is it gonna generate more than 100 trips during peak hours of the day, what you're doing? So it's again, the number of houses and figuring that out.
I think the state's already got that. So if you looked up, because it's a state road. So if you looked up the state last data, it'll tell you whether you can increase by 100 cars or 200 cars or 1,000 cars.
okay.
So that data should be in DOTs already, because they had wire crossings 10 years ago going across the road.
Okay.
So that data should be, I don't know if it's up to date or up to date enough for them, but that's something you have to go with DOT to ask.
That was a question I had with your ordinance here, is that as long as everything's abided and applied by this ordinance, we're within guidelines?
Yeah, I mean, our job is to approve plans that meet the requirements of the, you know, so that's
It seemed pretty.
We're not supposed to be
It's
obstructive.
like, if there's any more to this, I'm like, oh, okay. That was like my question. I'm like, man, if they had another 100 pages of this, I'm gonna have to get glasses this week.
Right.
Going back to DOT, they're the ones that are gonna approve your driveway entrance,
Yep.
where it can be, how it can be. So, you know, you tell them that you're the planning board, you're gonna need something from them to us, so we know it's been approved.
Yep.
And that will also include a traffic study.
Good. That's,
And then you gotta get, you know, approval either from the town or the state, probably the state, where you're gonna have your entrance.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, that's in
That's all
the,
DOTs.
that's in the list. You know, so they're looking at sight lines and so forth, you know,
The straightest part of the road.
Right.
That's right.
yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, the far end of the lot heads towards a little drop of the corner, but the other end is just, it's on the straightaway. It's like,
Yeah.
so that
I think
seems
you're
like a
fine.
pretty good one there. I did read in the ad that says,
Right on, 30.
Monmouth has economic development assistance for this property. I haven't looked into that yet.
Just keep going.
Yeah, there's an economic development committee and there is, I think they have still a consultant. I think it's, her first name is, last name's La Rochelle.
Flower show.
So they have somebody, you know, and if you talk to the town manager, he probably kind of put you in touch with,
I only brought that up because of just, with that being in there, I figured that Monmouth would be receptive or hopefully be receptive to doing a project like this. And we figured if we did it at 55 plus, it's not really gonna put much pressure on a school. I know I'm not having any kids, I'm 52, so not anymore, I'll say that. No.
you have a question, John?
I was just gonna say that, I met with Guy Piper and the town manager and the economic development person, and they said they're very interested in having growth, and that this particular place is in the growth district,
Yeah,
and that they would work with accommodating smaller lot sizes and TIF opportunities,
Yeah.
you know, based on seeing what the program was, and that they were very interested in working with it. And if you look at what Monmouth's Growth Council, you know, the thing you have online that talks about all those things
yeah,
to help facilitate that. So they seem to be a very proactive
yeah,
community, and, you know, we'll certainly work with you and had done some first work, but the first thing comes, what you want to do, they need to see that.
yeah,
And that's where you are now.
yeah.
Exactly. I was speaking with the code enforcement officer. He said the same thing. He's like, well, where you have the public utilities, he goes, he was the one explaining how the lot sizes work, and I was like, this, it sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds like it could work. And then as far as like these questions, that's what I wanted to give to James Coffin so they could drop a nice plan and make this
yeah,
presentable. I know what I don't have nothing presentable tonight, so.
yeah,
it's,
yeah. You know, and then there's a few things, you know, and a lot of times you can get that information from the state, you know, is there a deer wintering area there? Or are there any significant archaeological sites? And certainly Coffin is used to, you know, this is not just exclusive to Monmouth. So they should know who to go to get, you know, those letters.
He did say that. He goes, I'll take care of all your permitting for you, the DEP permit. He said that's a 6-month process.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We're not trying to fast track this. I mean, if we could get this by next spring, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's almost a year, and
Yeah.
that seems like it's way more feasible with something of this magnitude anyway.
So you asked sort of about deposits or, you know, so sometimes. So the concern kind of is, you know, when you're putting in a road.
I have a few pages of these
Yeah.
questions that,
When you-
if you guys want to just take a peek at this, it's only like a few questions. I mean, I wish I'd grab a little more. Okay. Doesn't get anything.
Sure.
Sometimes you gotta get a performance guarantee,
Yep.
like a bond,
That's what he asked, yes.
to show that you. So, you know, the concern is a project gets half done.
Yep.
And there are people who don't have like the road they thought they were gonna have.
And we pretty much no problem doing a bond either.
Yeah, I
That's what,
mean,
we want to make everybody realize that's just, that's not gonna. The funding is there. We have all the funding,
Yeah.
whatever has to be done, so if the town's more comfortable with a bond, fine, if not.
Yeah. So that answers your first question, the bond.
Mhm.
Yeah, the like 2, 3, and 4 kind of go together. And again, that's whether you decide to try to get the road approved as a public way, or you just deal with it through your homeowners association. A town road has to be paved. I assume there's some testing of the pavement. I don't,
Well, a subdivision road, the public works director has to approve the depth, the width, the depth of gravel, the type of gravel. He would be there on site to do that for you. At least he did it for me when I was there, so.
and then you get to the minimum lot size. Yeah, you get kind of a density bonus when you're on water and sewer. So I think the information that you got from the code enforcement officer is probably correct. But there's a little chart here that kind of confirms, minimum lot sizes, there's setbacks between the lots.
That was one of the questions in Coffin. He's like, is Monmouth receptive to, the word even sounds terrible to me, cluster communities. So if you've got the lots that small, you don't want it to look like a tent city. Just,
Yeah,
that's foolish. That's not what we're shooting for.
yeah.
Just,
Well, again, like a subdivision in a rural area where there is clustering to leave open space, again, that can allow for smaller lots. But I think you already got the advantage that you would want and probably don't need anymore because you've got water and sewer. So that's kind of a good thing. I don't know.
Because then you come into pie shapes and you worry about septic systems that are feeding 2 or 3 houses in a cluster. You don't have any of those issues.
yeah.
Double check. with the-
Nice land that kind of has a neat shape, goes up and turns at an angle, goes up to another little piece, so developing a totally square lot can kind of be a pain to make look good sometimes if you don't have any natural borders and landscape returns.
Yeah, so lots, I think starting on page 16 is when you get into the minimum lot size. Maybe it's before that. Oh, here they are. Before that.
Just putting in my 2 cents, Dave.
There you go.
Yep, 70-foot, 5-foot minimum street frontage if the lot is served by public sewer. Setbacks. Setbacks is 35 feet. So from your right of way, the house is gonna be set back 35 feet. So this all starts at page 11. Yeah,
But I guess that was the question, like, if this is our book to abide by,
yeah,
it seems pretty cut and dry,
Yeah. Often's done many things here, so he knows.
he said. But he wanted an idea with these, so he kind of knows where to start,
yeah.
what road to draw, where to even begin, and that's, I appreciate you guys hearing us on, like, no notice, so.
Yeah.
This is great.
You've got somebody with a lot of experience, so
Yeah.
he knows what's going on.
You know, you have to sort of decide, you have to make sort of that economic decision. Whether you go down to the 15,000 square foot minimum or whether the lot's gonna be a little more, you know, appealable to people if it's bigger than 15,000 square feet.
That's the plan. We don't wanna, we're not trying to say, oh, if we can get 15,000 square foot lots, let's put 80 houses in there. That absolutely is not our plan. We
Yeah.
just wanna be able to do this so that when he draws us up, that we can, all right, the budget, cost of the land, road, and infrastructure and houses, this is what we have to sell a house for, and we wanna be able to keep stuff affordable. So that's the number that we wanna keep everything.
I don't
Make
think
that
there's
work.
anything that says you have to have a sidewalk, but you have to decide whether it makes sense for your development. You know, if people wanna walk, and is it safer to have that? I mean, or not? Or is the road gonna be wide enough that it can accommodate, you know, the walkers and,
And hydrants and all that other stuff that
Yeah.
all go along with it, but again, it's only from the edge of your property in you're paying for, because it's already there. You already have one hydrant right smack in the middle of the straightaway, so.
Right. Pretty much believe in thinking we're gonna run everything, whole services underground too. No poles, no mess, and
Poles.
it just makes sense to have a little sidewalk. I mean, I live out in the country. I don't like walking on the road. I'm smart enough to look behind me when I hear a car.
But
Probably
you're
for,
dealing with 55 and over.
Right, yeah.
probably for the clientele you're gonna market and that'd probably be a selling point.
They'd be pushing the town to continue the sidewalks into town after you get it all done. I can see it now.
10 years later.
Not here to cause any trouble.
so a lot of times, you know, you have this question. Can you get planning board approval before site location or development permit? You know, a lot of times we suggest we kind of move in a concurrent fashion. But like we've got a couple of projects now that we thought it better kind of to table the matter until we see what the state says. Because if you make revisions to the plan based on the state, then yeah, you're gonna end up coming back.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
And once you get the state approval, if everything is lined up, you know, that you've got, say, your homeowners association and, you know, you've got all your other requirements met, it's not gonna take us long to do what we need to do to review it. But more and more, we found that if we make it a condition of approval rather than waiting to see it, it creates a lot more expense for the developer and kind of we're spending time that maybe we could better spend reviewing other projects but, you know, we don't want to hold you up, but, you know, we get to a certain point and may say, yeah, I think we should wait until we see what they say, you know. Some are gonna create more issue. You're gonna have a big advantage, I think, because of being on sewer and water.
Tremendous.
Yeah. It
And
takes,
in
takes,
the growth,
huh?
and in the
And
growth.
in the growth area, you know, because right now the town is in the process of updating the comprehensive plan. And again, it's saying, yeah, we'd like to have development where there's water and sewer. And the sewer district would love to have more users because they're running into more capacity but less, say, commercial already using it. And so if residential is the answer to their problems, then they're gonna be willing to work with you too. So that's a good thing for you.
Like it was very promising when I spoke with him.
Yeah.
They said, obviously we have to go through this,
Yeah.
start, baby steps first.
And there's no requirement of a loop road. You know, whether you decide, you know, I think the goal is to have one entrance on Main Street.
Mhm.
So if you decided a loop road made sense, you'd want to connect before your exit. But if you had a dead end road, yeah, there are dimensional requirements for your cul-de-sac.
And
And
it
there
doesn't have to be a cul-de-sac. I think it
can be a T.
It can be a T, it can be, there's 3 or 4 of them in our ordinance.
I think there's even some examples.
There's pictures of them. In the street and road ordinance, just tell Andy to
Yeah.
make a copy for you. Or I can.
Last item, the 20-foot maximum building height.
Yes.
What was the concern there?
I think he was asking if that was the maximum height of the building. I was like, that seems awful low. I
That's
mean,
on the eve line, so that's on the eve line, so your building could be taller than that.
okay, most of the time.
That's only for sure.
No, I read it wrong. So
Yeah,
he's lying.
35.
Oh, okay.
And that it's the total.
Everything proposed.
Oh, okay.
In
Ranches.
rest of it.
No two stories.
We don't have it.
I was thinking
We don't
this
have
is
it.
the dimension, maximum height of it.
That's, he's asking if it's eve height of 20 feet, so. Probably say the eve.
Yeah, see, maybe 2 stories and less.
It's gonna be higher.
Right, there's a lot less than somebody who says I have to have a 2-story. I mean, that's another reason why we want to get all the infrastructure done, and so someone could say, all right, I want lot 21 and I want that to be a 2-story.
But I think there is an overall height dimension.
I think it's. Dave, is there overall height dimension on the buildings? 35, right?
35, 20 at the eve, 35 at the
Peak.
peak, outside the shoreline zone.
That's for the fire department.
Right.
Doesn't have a ladder truck.
Right.
Cul-de-sac, T and hammer are the 3 that are approved in Vermont.
That was his major concern, was just what the road should be, and then so we can start drawing and make it make sense first time.
I don't think we have any requirement for sidewalks.
I don't think so either. But if you're going underground,
Yeah.
a sidewalk is the way to
One on the
go.
ground. It looks better and
Because it's
way
It's
less
under
chance of
sidewalk.
losing power.
Exactly.
You don't have to deal with the trees,
No
or
trees.
poles.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole lot's really cleared, so don't have that. I lose power every time the wind blows around, so it gets.
I just made a couple of notes on this. Likely. I don't think there's any maximum number of lots for a dead end street.
the only
Thank you very much.
the dead end street is the length of between hydrants is shown.
So, there is, in this area, what's called the Cobussy Watershed District. So they're an organization that kind of promotes, maintenance of water quality for all the lakes in the area. And so usually, projects like yours, whoever you're working with would get a set of plans over to them. Their office is in Winthrop. And they review it and make comments. So they're concerned about how much phosphorus is going to be generated by your project. And what's the potential impact on the watershed? And you're probably in the Anabesica
I believe so.
watershed, which is kind of one of the lakes that is viewed as more fragile. And so sometimes within your development, you have to have things like a wet pond, or other
Retention pond,
retention pond or other
filtering methods.
other filtering meshes to keep that phosphorus kind of from leaving your site. And I'm sure at Coffin, they're aware of that process. But that's one of the big, what do I want to say? Possible items that can kind of restrict the amount of development.
That's why you brought up the road, coming back to the road thing. Obviously, if that was all paved,
Yeah,
more of an issue.
yeah,
So that's, I think most of his questions you can see were revolved around the road.
yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and as I say, you have to, some of the decisions like sidewalks, you just have to decide, does it make sense? Can you justify the cost? Is it gonna be a real benefit to the people buying because they'd like to be able to stroll and not worry that,
It's a place to put your utilities
yeah,
if you're not going overhead, is the sidewalk.
It's,
yeah, what are you thinking of power? Have you decided, would you bring power in underground? or-
Underground. a friend of mine's an electrician, and that was a question I had for him, is like, when it's all brand new, how far off is underground from above head? And he says it's, or from overhead, and he's like, it's not bad, so it's going underground.
Yeah,
And it's three-phase there anyway, so you
Yeah.
can pull 3 separate legs.
And it's way cleaner looking too.
yeah. So you have well, it's up to you.
It'll be transformer pads throughout.
Yeah, but endless intrusive poles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then if you decided to put like some form of streetlights in, you may be required to shield them so that the light doesn't disperse. It's more
Yeah.
directed down.
I read that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another, my electrician buddies are the same thing. So some people want spotlights on the gable of a garage, and I have a neighbor up around, I don't know, 100 yards down the road from me, and it bugs me. It's like, really?
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, what xenon sun rays coming out of that thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Leave them on all night or,
Yeah.
it's,
yeah, we don't live in a high crime neighborhood where I'm at, so
yeah.
it's pretty unneeded. So let's,
Speak to La Rochelle in the town office, she can help get you in the right direction as far as that's concerned. That's what she used to do.
okay,
So we meet, second Thursday of every month. And, we squeezed you in tonight because we knew we had something that wasn't gonna go forward. But generally, if you're wanting to get on an agenda, you have to file your application and plan the Tuesday of the week before we meet.
is that done right online?
10 days.
Well, we're working on that.
We're working on
But
it.
I don't know how long it's gonna take. The code
Dawn
enforcement,
asked me that today. She said, did you file an application with the meeting? I was like, nope,
yeah,
didn't know. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He's almost got it ready.
Yeah, and we're hoping the planning board can piggyback on the new system that the code enforcement officer is using so that,
I called the town office and asked, like, to fill out an application. She's like, we don't do that. You have to call the
code enforcement.
code enforcement and planning board. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
This was still,
we're gonna, the town is gonna hire, hoping, a town planner in the next month or two. And that person will sort of be the point person to kind of review the applications and kind of make a preliminary determination, have you gotten everything you need? And so that's gonna be, I think, helpful to a lot of people doing the type of thing you're doing.
so I don't have to come here. So
So she can pose your questions to her and then she can pose them at the end of our meeting and get back to you, so you don't have to come to a meeting. It's that question.
But this is good because then you get a flavor, we get a flavor for what you're trying to do and,
That's really what I was trying to do.
yeah. Yeah. So you have the property under contract or just deciding whether to make an offer?
Have it under contract.
Yeah.
A certain time frame, and this should work. Get over. And I'm Guy's representative.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don, you're very quiet.
It's exciting.
I'm taking it all in, sweet.
Oh, okay.
All your faces for my child, reminiscing.
That's all we needed. I mean, Jim just kept emphasizing his road questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we gotta check. Somebody told me that they thought the road ordinance that's on the website isn't the most current one. This is what Paul are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was told it is.
You were told it is.
I'm not surprised there were.
It's old, but
Well, it hasn't been updated in a long time.
87?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be another benefit of having a town plan. Help us take a look at some of these things that need proving. Updating.
I did what I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can read my writing. I think so. Just one more thing. What time is it? We got a couple more minutes. Are we good with you folks?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, other business.
Appreciate it.
And there's other business. Is fees for extension of permits,
Yeah.
fees for building permits. I'm the CEO and third party.
Right.
With this,
So that's true. Let's take, yep, take care, John.
Been so long.
Let's take the extensions. So like a building permit that hasn't, so I talked to Andy, we were thinking $50 for an extension. Or less, 35 or,
It's 25 now. So you want to go up to anything you want. I mean,
what do you guys think is reasonable for?
So you're saying after 1 year extension? I don't think $50 is bad, is it?
it's not bad. It may move people to get them done faster.
And I was thinking planning board, I don't know if we would distinguish between like a residential shoreland and a site review subdivision, whether we'd charge 50 for shoreland and 100 for the others, or should we just be 100 for everything?
Commercial would be a little more probably, you think?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would make it 100.
100 for subdivision and site review. 50 for
Residential, you thinking?
residential shoreland.
Yep.
And so then the other one, Andy just thought a permit so much per square foot of the footprint.
If that's what he's doing, or
And,
That's what Winthrop.
and it would be, I don't know whether we're saying 12 or 13 cents versus 15 cents or something.
I can get you a number from what Winthrop is charging.
I can't remember what Andy, I couldn't
I
find,
thought Andy got it. I thought he said they're 10 cents third party. No, they're not. What is,
I can't remember now. You got me thinking. I've been going to other towns getting permits, so I can't remember what the heck Winthrop is.
who's quick on their phone, Winthrop Town Office?
well, I can go in the computer.
I just wanted to ask, because you said 100 for business, 50 for house, private dwelling, and shoreland?
No, in shoreland.
Okay.
So the only ones we do, so if someone wanted
I
to,
misheard, but
yeah.
go ahead.
so if someone was doing an expansion in shoreland zoning,
Mhm.
what should we charge if they had to come back for an extension?
Mhm.
And
Okay,
I think Rick's point was, commercial, you might charge more,
yeah.
you know, so whether we just do 50.
Is he also using these numbers for himself outside the shoreline?
No, I mean, we didn't distinguish.
Oh, he should make them the same.
Yeah, I think,
Of whatever we choose for ours, he should use for his. Otherwise, it's gonna be,
Right,
how many different permits his computer's gonna have to
Right.
print,
right.
right? Cause his computer's gonna figure out the square footage and give the price.
yeah,
That's what this program is
Would Winthrop
for
have?
the original one.
for the original.
I would think
Or
you just
another
wanna do
$10
for-
with that.
no matter where it was.
Replacement, construction.
$100
Yes,
across the board for the planning board. But would we charge more for a solar? I mean, a lot of times it's pro forma, right? I mean, we say, okay, you know, you're,
Winthrop, I got it. 10 cents per square foot.
Yeah,
Darcy found it faster.
for new.
I get it right.
It was for new, right?
Yeah, it's for new.
New
and replacement construction.
yeah, I can't remember whether Andy said, would you charge different for a renovation than you would for a new?
Winthrop's charging the same, land use permits are 10.
Yeah.
Earth moving are $15,
Are you saying 10 cents
10 cents.
a square foot?
Square foot.
Yeah, their permits aren't unreasonable in Winthrop.
But is that third party? Or that's the code enforcement?
That's code enforcement.
Oh,
Yeah.
Winthrop is all.
What are you asking about third party though?
That is third party, by the way, because Winthrop is all third party.
Okay,
So is
And so is Monmouth.
Yeah, but that 10 cents is what the code enforcement officer is charging for the town, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are you asking about third party though?
well, that was sort of the question that came up is whether there should be a different one for third party and for the town.
Why?
Why? What is the town inspecting?
He's not licensed to inspect anything. So, I mean,
Well, you could have somebody, well, you could, but.
They don't have a
then you could
choice.
go- Then if they hired somebody that was licensed to inspect, then you could go back charging whatever the town had for.
So I know the figure Andy threw out was higher than 10 cents.
Yeah.
I think he was around 12 or something. But
But
I
Well,
don't,
let's put it this way. He has to be certified in shoreline. We're not certified in shoreline. So he's supposed to get off his chair and go and inspect these houses in shoreline for at least the setbacks and make sure that all of that is current. We do it, but we're not officially doing it.
right,
Cause, I mean, I'm doing it because I'm still certified in
Yeah.
shoreline.
yeah, yeah,
There's a situation in Manchester right now where there was a house. It's right by the outlet. There's a contractor, I'm not familiar with him, I've never worked with him before, he's tearing the house down. And he's got it staked out and called me to do the inspection, and I said, I think you're too close to the water. He said, oh, no, he said, I got special permission. Okay, I inspected footings, I inspected the walls and that. I got a call from the code guy in Manchester, he goes like, oh, do you know the place on this? I said, yeah, he said, oh, there's a problem with it. I said, what? He said, did you inspect it? I said, yeah, I inspected the footings, I inspected the walls. He says, well, but it's not properly placed on the lot, and it's not the proper size. What he went in for this size,
And now the foundation is for this size. I said, that's not my purview, I'm sorry. Well, it's Richard, isn't it? That used to be in Monmouth?
No, he now is in,
They move.
Where's it, man? It's like, who's on first?
Yeah.
he's not in Manchester anymore.
Who is
Richard is
Manchester?
gone,
Who is in Manchester?
and somebody else.
No kidding.
He called me today.
He's not in Manchester anymore.
Oh,
That's what came down over the internet. So something must have happened.
okay. Well, anyway, when this fell apart, that was the situation.
70 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
And I've told him, and he just doesn't have the time to do it. So I don't know what the difference between,
well, he should be then going out to
he's
sort of,
getting a permit for a shed, which we don't have to inspect. Okay. Let him get whatever he wants, 20 cents. I don't, but if he's not doing any work, 10 cents or 12 cents is probably
a lot of money.
a lot of money. Because they're paying us a lot of money, and now they have to pay for him to write a permit, piece of paper? I
Well,
don't know.
I'll call him. I mean, we're not in a big rush.
Yeah,
I'll
I
run
think
that
he is,
by-
because he wants to get that program up and running.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to get him next week and, of course, I'm out of town next week, part of the week.
I can go in and talk to him.
Why don't you go in and talk to him?
I'll go in and talk to him.
And I mean, I don't think we really care on that, right? The planning board. So, no.
Why he wants two for shoreline and regular is absurd.
Well,
he might have a reason, I don't know.
Well, I mean, his bigger concern, I think, was he thought we should have in the ordinance some section that says third-party inspections, because there's nothing.
Well, that's in the fee schedule.
Right, but we don't have anything to kind of authorize third-party inspectors in our ordinance. We've been
Oh.
doing it,
Oh, okay.
but
I thought that was all taken care of. I thought Justin already did that, but maybe he didn't.
no, nothing, there's been no vote on that.
Okay.
How do other towns handle that? The same way? They don't have it in their ordinance, probably, right? Winthrop probably doesn't. Right?
Yeah, Winthrop,
So the difference with Winthrop, of course, it has a town council.
Right.
and they
So
can approve anything.
It's a
that
little
needs-
easier, quicker to get stuff approved. Like, I don't know, but. But if Monmouth doesn't have a code person that's licensed, and by the population, they're mandated by the state to inspect. It's gonna be, it has to be some third party.
I think if he takes one more class though, he just doesn't have energy yet.
But the hours he has, he wouldn't be able to do.
He can't do it.
He wouldn't be able to
He
do
can
it.
do it. No.
No way.
If I could just barely do it at 32, he
I
can't
think,
do it on
I think
10.
it's working good with the third party inspector, in Monmouth County, works great.
I think everybody that we've worked for are happy because we can go there within a half hour sometimes.
Yeah, I got a call this morning, they wanted for.
Or at least the
At 9
next
o'clock.
day,
Or
at least
the next day,
yeah.
whereas he doesn't work on.
So we gotta wait
Tuesdays
till
and Thursdays.
Tuesday between 9 and 12. Makes it tough. Take a look.
Motion to adjourn. From the old, Knowles number.
I motion we adjourn.
Shut down. We're adjourned, Darcy, thank you.
It's only 9 o'clock.
Hey, I'm going to bed now.
All right. Gonna have some hot milk before you go?
Pull it off at the end.
Maybe a shot of whiskey.
Or a hot toddy.
Last fall, they weren't gonna open it yet.
Take care.
Yeah, it's,
Night.
yeah. Kind of caused a little bit of an issue with people getting concrete, but it is what it is, I guess. Auburn's
Auburn's been pretty quick.
Yeah, they got a plant in Augusta and